quick to Beast Central and see what this is about. It's YouTube Wednesday! Okay, so a lot of this is going to be voiceover. It's all voiceover, simply because that's the best way to convey information. This whole body is made from stacked up 5-gallon buckets. There's no need to have new 5-gallon buckets. All of the buckets that I used except for one were used, and that one was used, it just didn't get dirty. So you can see that I marked up where to put some holes here, and then I'm feeding zip ties through, just like I'm going to lace it together. And now I put those together, and I attach the zip ties, but see that I leave them loose, and that leaves me room to put in the others. And then I can go back and tighten them up. And here I just took the handle off the top one. I wasn't worried about the rest. And the way that it works is I screwed the second bucket to the first bucket, and then I zip tied the third bucket to the second bucket, and then I screwed the top bucket to the third bucket. And inside of that first bucket, I added a couple gallon jugs of water. This is an 11-foot by 15-foot tarp from Harbor Freight. This is the bulk of the money for this build. That was $14. I picked it because it's waterproof. It's already gray in color. And here I'm just showing you that 40 inches is how tall I need to cut this piece. And this is going to be her skirt. But the color of this works out great. The quality of it works out great. I really like this. This is duct tape. All I'm doing now is I'm hanging some pieces off the top of the bucket because I am about to pleat this whole piece. I cut that tarp so that it was on the 15-foot long side. So it's 15 foot by 40 inches. And this is just, you're going to get a lot of footage of me pleating. I think that the word pleat is actually Spanish for cursing, because pleating is not fun. And I just used the width of my hand and I folded it over, and each pleat lands in the middle of the pleat before. I did show a little bit of a close-up for that. Just feel free to go back in time if you need to see that any better. I never want to see it again. Here's Cheney coming to help. So this is it, and then once that's done, then I wrap that again in duct tape, nice and harsh. And here I'm just straightening out the skirt, and I did not set the chest yet. So what I did was I picked the best side of the skirt, and that's my front. However that looks, whatever the best side is, that's your front. And I'm heating up that bucket so I can squish it just like that. Now I'm going to take a chunk of 2x4. Don't pay for a chunk of 2x4. Anywhere they're building anything, you can ask them for a couple 2x4 scraps, and they will gladly give them to you, and they're going to have them. You generate so many 2x4 scraps doing this kind of stuff, doing anything. And you can see I screwed that together. I heat gunned it a little bit, but I don't know that that's necessary. And now you can get a shot at it with the wig head on and see how tall it's going to be. These are gloves from the 99-cent store. So these gloves from the 99-cent store, I'm filling with Loctite foam. The can of Loctite foam was another chunk of this build money, and let's just call that $7. All right, you see how I'm making that swirly lump on the other side? And I did sort of arrange that on the hair. You can watch that later. See how it goes down in lines, and now I'm patting it in. It's already been 4 minutes. I sprayed it down, and it's got enough of a skin on it where I can pat it down. It does take about, between 3 and 6 minutes to skin, depending upon the day. Now that hair bun that I did on the garbage bag, that actually worked out. The main thing with these hands, what I'm doing is I'm squeezing them to keep them from getting too thick. I don't want them to look puffy. So I'm babysitting these, and this took a good 20 minutes or so as I was sitting there, and you can see now I'm putting weights on them. I want those wrists to bend a little bit. I looked at some good reference images of her hands over her face, so I did that. That's the pose I wanted. And I've got scissors and an X-Acto, and I'm cutting up the fingers, and I'm pulling this off. And I'm going to have a real nice foam hand after about 20 minutes. So you can see I get the last of that glove off. And now I'm showing you with a popsicle stick, push that in and then roll it. And that is how you get your fingernail indention. So you can do that on all of your fingers. I'm going to have to free that other hand in just a moment. I don't know where I went. All right, so I'm freeing the other hand, same process. The pair of gloves are destroyed. Maybe you could finesse them off and leave that pair of gloves intact, but you might break a foam finger. It's better not to do that. This is not a pool noodle. This is pipe insulation. Why is it pipe insulation? Because that's available year-round. I'm putting one screw in the foam head. I did cut the foam head at an angle so it looks down a little bit. The pipe insulation, I got a good size that was close to an arm. It's still a little skinny, so I add more later. And that's a little bit of wire that I'm putting into the arms, only so that they'll bend and hold that bend. And I'm cutting the wrist off where I want those to be cut off. And I'm giving those a solid duct tape on. There's also a bit of that wire poking out, and I stab that into the foam hand. Here I am making solid eye contact with you while I form the breasts of the weeping angel. And so there you go. You can develop your weeping angel any way you wish. So now this is a piece that I'm cutting, and I just kind of measured the length that I want. I cut a hole for the head. I'm putting it on like it's a tabard. And now with the heat gun, I'm just melting those two sides together. How about a close-up, you say? Well, here you go. Heat gun, heat, popsicle stick, push, 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 and they weld right together. You don't get more waterproof than this, guys. This is made of plastic. It's a plastic tarp. So again, the heat gun, if you buy it for this build, it's $9.99 for Harbor Freight. Buy it at the same time you get your tarp. Use the 20% off coupon that you can get from anywhere online. All right, so I put a little bit of the Loctite foam in the palm here, and I pinned it on with a wooden skewer. The wooden skewers will come out as soon as that Loctite foam dries. Here I am cutting some more pipe insulation just to bulk out the arms. See how it just fits on there? And then I will use the heat gun to weld those together, the same way you do pool noodles. Pool noodles are a little hardier, so you have to be careful. You can melt this stuff into oblivion. But you can see it does stick together pretty well, and then I melted a hole in it, so I just patched it. Now I want to add a little bit to the forearms. One thing that I suggest that I did not do, I didn't want to drive this cost up, throw a shirt on it. Before you do that fold over tabard piece, just throw a shirt on it, a long sleeve shirt that's gray, because then you're going to hide all of these arms. These arms aren't perfect. They're probably my least favorite part of the build. However, they look fine for what it is. Once the wings are on and once it's painted, you kind of gloss over the arms a little bit. But you can see that union between the wrist and hand is nice and tight, and that works well. And this is just a piece that I'm shrinking up one side to make kind of a collar. I'll put it around here, and then I'll heat gun it onto the back. And I'm just heat gunning it down so it sticks to itself, and so it sticks to that tabard shirt that I made. This is a $10 chunk of the build, also from Harbor Freight. This is EVA foam floor mats. The wing design is just a very simple one. I made two base parts of the wing, and right where the wing would fold out and swing over, that's a whole second part. So I get two base parts out of one sheet, so that uses up two sheets, and then I get two of the big wing parts. See, I'm putting the wing together there to make that work. All right, and that's a full sheet, and that's the other sheet. 4 sheets come into a pack, so these wings were $10. And now you can see how that glues together. And there's going to be 2 pieces at the base, and that's going to be essential in stability and in attaching it. I'm going to go ahead and get everything covered in contact cement. And once everything is covered in contact cement, I'm going to let that dry. Of course, you let that dry about 8 to 10 minutes, and I'm cutting a little chunk of PVC pipe. I believe this is 1-inch PVC that I measured for that base piece, and I'm going to pre-drill those pipes for the back of... I'm just blocking the whole camera. What a mook. So I'm going to go ahead and drill those base pieces, those pipes, so I can screw those into the back of the Weeping Angel. And you can see I'm getting the screw started, and that's where those pipes go. Remember that the base of the wing is 2 pieces of foam, right about that pipe width apart. Why don't we slather some contact cement on this puppy? All right, so these guys are dry. Let's press those together. Hooray! Let's do the next one. All right, and there's a right wing and a left wing. See, I'm cutting 1 inch off of there on one side only. That was me letting the contact cement dry. And what that 1 inch does is that allows me to cant the wings out at the same angle. More pipe insulation goes over that top edge of the wing. And I'm going to split that open, of course, and then I will contact cement inside of the pipe. And then I will contact cement the edge of the wing. And I'm doing the edge of the wing right now. There you go. So I have to let that dry. While that's drying, we might as well paint with some gray primer 2X. Now that head is a styrofoam wig head. There's nothing on there to protect it. But when I am spraying that, I am misting from a distance. If you mist from a distance and let that build up in layers, then it's not going to melt your foam head. The Loctite foam has no problem not melting, all right? It's not going to be melted by spray paint. But the styrofoam head can. What hurts the foam head is the propellant in the spray paint. So as long as you mist it and let most of the propellant go somewhere else, then you're going to be fine on your styrofoam. Do it from a distance. That's all I ask. And now I have a can of black, and you can see I highlighted that skirt. I did some up shading with it, and I did some real big feather pieces on the wings because that's how it looked. Now I have some simple white craft paint, and I have done white, and now I have some white primer, and I'm just dusting this from above to give it looks like light's hitting it from above. This is the finished Weeping Angel, guys. This is it. It cost just under 40 bucks for everything that I used, and it took me about 3.5 hours to do it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and maybe buy a t-shirt from my Teespring, which is linked below the video. So this is a full-size Weeping Angel statue. It came in at under $40. I was as cheap as possible. You could probably get it down cheaper if you sourced a few materials differently. I just wanted to give you guys the base. Are there 700 ways to make this better and to change things and have it be better? Absolutely. I wanted to do a different technique for the body build that I have shown you guys before, so I didn't do it the same way as either of my 2 Reapers. And I wanted to just showcase a couple different things, like a different wing design and wing build. Are there ways that this can be done better? Yes. Is this a full-size statue that managed to freak out my dogs? Yes. So hopefully you know who you are, who asked for this in particular. Hopefully you will enjoy this build, and you can put a couple of these in your yard. Don't blink, and go make stuff. Boris is hiding behind a car. Bella's sneaking up behind it. They don't know it's not a person. Cheney is waiting from the porch to see what's going on. What's going on, guys? Cheney is not having it.